If you are American and if you are renting an apartment or a house in Germany, or if you are about to rent an apartment in Germany, this video might be helpful for you to avoid typical pitfalls of German tenancy law.
What should I consider if I will rent an apartment in Stuttgart?
Okay, Stuttgart is a very special place to rent an apartment. First of all, it's very expensive and you should have a good look at the prices. Yeah, if you come from America and if you compare the situation in Germany with the situation in the United States, you will find that in America, fixed-term residential leases are the norm. Not so in Germany. Rental agreements in Germany are normally concluded for an indefinite period of time. In Germany, the so-called social tenancy law applies, which means that a tenant is very well protected by the law. A landlord, or in concrete terms, that means that a landlord cannot end a residential lease if there are no reasons for terminations. This means once a residential tenancy agreement has been concluded in Germany, the landlord can only terminate it if there are reasons for termination. This is what the law says. The landlord may only terminate the tenancy if he has a legitimate interest in terminating the tenancy. So, what is a legitimate interest in terminating the tenancy? The law states that the landlord has a legitimate interest in terminating the tenancy, in particular if, for example, the landlord requires the rooms as accommodation for himself or for his family. What does this mean for you as a tenant in Germany? It means that you are protected by law if your landlord tries to end the lease for any reason, except for the reasons that are stated by law. A fixed-term residential tenancy normally is invalid. This invalidity arises directly from the law. Very often, foreign renters are afraid to lose an apartment if they, for example, do not accept a rent increase. Termination for the purpose of increasing the rent is excluded by law. This means that if your landlord wants to raise the rent, he has to observe a very special procedure, which I will explain later. So it's not possible for a landlord, normally, to force a tenant to terminate a tenancy at a certain point of time. It is possible, under certain conditions, to bind the tenant up to a tenancy agreement for a period up to 4 years. This means if you sign a contract with a fixed term, it's very likely that you don't have to leave at a specific time, but it is very likely that you can be forced to stay in the apartment up to 4 years.